Hey, welcome to my first kind of modding video actually. So finally yesterday Radiant released a graphics test. You see it here running. Actually the idea behind it is to find some bugs and potential issues for the future releases. So you can download it, run it on your computer and either automatically or in the forum report some errors which you might be encountering. Luckily, I don't have severe ones, so you see here the demo running, and I can zoom in, zoom out, rotate a little bit, so the movement works already. And what we have here is at least a small piece of Stonehearth, so why not modding it? And actually, as it turned out, that's pretty possible to some extent. And I would like to have a first look into it. So if you want to join me, just stay tuned. We will just take a look on the installation folder and what you can find in there, how to access it, and how to change this scenery a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit at least. So if you install the graphical test, I did it here on my drive D, you will have this folder and that structure. And in here we see all kind of different data. So I don't go into all the details as I don't know at all what is behind it. But let's take a joint look into some of them. So I'm opening here this Horde folder. And what do we see here? So there are some JSON files. Let me open it. See some definitions as we saw it already several times from the devs. Some values, variables aligned to it. Okay. We see some fonts. That's quite nice. So that's actually also what you see here, generated out of the fonts, most probably. We see material stockpile. What do we have here? So that's actually the stockpile we saw on several screens already, with the border, the edges, corners, and the centerpiece. That's good. So probably you can change here the color if you are interested in modding the color. Actually, it's not visible in the graphic test scenery, so it doesn't make sense too much to adjust it. Some overlays, again font, then particles. Actually, they are also not visible in the small graphic test demo we have. So let's not focus on that. Some shaders, some textures. Okay, so that seems to be the cloud which is used here to generate the shadows you see every now and then coming up. Let's wait a second. There you see a little bit of it. So probably somewhere this cloud map is used to generate the shadows. Okay, so that's about the hordes. Then we have locals. That's interesting actually, because this looks like the abbreviations for countries. We have English for Great Britain, for the US. We have Spanish probably. Let me take one I'm used to. So that's German. And we see here some text in German. So not sure what this is used for. Maybe they are just trying out a little bit. And also the other languages. Let's take, maybe there's a French one. Not that I speak French, but it looks at least familiar. And yeah, so that's French, definitely. Okay, so there is some language translation already in there. Not sure what this is. I don't think it will be the translation of the whole game, maybe of a menu or something. And then we have the mods folder here, and there you have two files. Actually, as Xavion in the user in the forum, the official forum pointed out, that's nothing more than an Excel, a zip file. So let's create a copy just to have a safe version to fall back. If you change something and you don't want to reinstall just go ahead and use some backups here. And let me make one more and change the name of this into a zip. So I have now a backup file, and we have now renamed this into a zip file. Let me open the zip, and you see there is a folder called as the zip is. Let me extract this one out into the folder structure so it's a bit easier to work with, and there is a Radiant one. So we have two of them. We don't need the zip anymore. We have unzipped it, so let me delete this one. And this now is the unzipped smod files, right? Let's take a look in the Radiant one. We have here modules, libs, JavaScript. So there is some JavaScript files in there. Actually, I could try to open one of them. Give me a second. And just to confirm, it's JavaScript. And actually, here I have it opened. It is JavaScript, obviously. Surprise, surprise. So you see here quite some code, which we will be able to change probably, but it's too early to say what is really behind that one. So there are some files. Then we have a lot of Lua code here, which is not readable without further investigation, let's say. So for me, the Radiant folder is at the moment not so important and interesting. Let's remove it again. That's fine, and let's take a look into the Stonehearth one. And that's actually where we can now adjust some things, which will be visible here in the graphics test. So let's take a look what is in here. We have different things, i.e. for sure the artificial intelligence. Its Lua files, not so interesting. For the moment at least. Again, call handlers, not so interesting. Then we have here components folder. There we have some Lua files, but also actually nothing more. That's the wrong one. I did not want to go there. I wanted to go to the data folder, because here we have now some other things than just Lua code. Here, if I go down into the data commands job tree, you see the icon, which we will see in the game as it seems. If I open the JSON file related to it, this one is defining actually a command as it seems. This will be chopping the tree. It's allocating this icon, which is called chop tree PNG, which is this one here, to this command, and it calls an action. So that's the way how you probably add icons or link icons to actions. So that's an interesting one. Then if we continue, you see some cursors. We don't see many of them, just the first one in the game yet, or in this graphics test. That's this one. So here you have a short overview of the remaining ones, or some of them at least. So that's pretty nice sneak peek. And then you have rigs. Rigs actually is a term we know from animations. So I would expect here some animations, and if I take a look into the further structure, then I'm here in humans now, and I see animations, male, idle, breath, look around, sway, warm hands. If I take a look on our scenery, that's somehow what they seem to do, right? Now he's not doing anything, or she. That might be the breath or breathe version. That's now look around probably. Not sure what sway is, if that's in. Warm hand seems also not to be in. Here now he is moving his hands, so that's probably the sway, but I haven't seen warm hands. So that seems to be a kind of a hidden animation, which we can try to activate actually. We just will not do it right now. Let's go through the other things first. So then we have the same for critters here for the rabbit. That's the only one we have. Also some effects or some animations. Actually, each animation seems to have a file related to it, which is called effect. Again, JSON, and it calls the animation, as it seems. So somehow the animation file includes a lot of animation data. Seems like that's the body parts here, right pawn. So we are here with the rabbit, right? So it's not a hand. Right ear, head, tail. So that's the body parts, and that looks like a position value and what might be rotation. And they seem to be called or allocated to the model from these effects files here. So they are calling kind of what's going on. Idle breath JSON, so they are calling the animation files, and the same for the humans. Okay, so that's quite interesting. Let's continue looking. So we have here some entities. So entities we've learned, I think, in the last Desktop Tuesday. That's items which are placed in the world. So we have here critters, again, the humans, professions, and trees. And actually we have one tree in there. So we have also a lot of human information. Let's take a look on the tree maybe first. So we have here the juniper tree and the oak tree, and trees even in different sizes. It's interesting also. So let's go into a large oak tree. What do we see here? Large oak tree description, 100 years old, too bad. Okay, and different variants. The QB is a file ending which you can read with Cubicle. Unfortunately, you need a home or master edition. So let me just open it, and I just move it in here into my Cubicle. And you see that's a big tree as it is defined here in this QB file. That includes all the information, including color. And we have a medium one. Let's see here. Medium oak tree, sturdy in the prime of life. Okay. And we have also a small one, which is a sapling. Okay, so that's the different growth areas. And if we take a look into our graphical test, then you see that they used a medium oak tree here and actually the second one. So let me open it again in Cubicle. Here we go. So that's the tree we see here in the graphical test. So the data is taken out of this structure. And we see here also professions worker is the only one available. And what we see here is profession description. Okay, worker, where to go and get the files again. And we see here some additional information about the worker. Also, which file should be taken with the outfit. And let me open the male outfit again. In Cubicle, you see here we have now the outfit loaded, and it's without the body parts. However, if I select them, they are already separated, and you see the names of them. Right arm, that's the torso. So that's actually the names we saw also in the animation files, right? So that's quite interesting insight. And we have the same for humans, and you can look into it a little bit. There are male, female, different versions, and I have the impression that they are using the human, the male 2, just loading the head one and the body into the cubicle where I have the worker outfit already selected, and apart from the toes, that seems to be the same worker which we see here. That will be interesting for us because we want to change his look in a second. Okay, so let's close that one again. So there are some interesting things to see here in the entities area. Then we have another library, some locals. That seems to be the text here on the top left. So if you want to change this, go ahead, change this ones here. Just don't change the structure. Here are some hidden escape sequences as it seems. So if you just adjust it without paying attention, it might be that your version is not starting anymore. And then here is a mix-ins folder. That's an interesting also one, because it seems to define placement kind of in the world, something like this, at least for the tree. If I take a look here, it's defining which region kind of the tree is placed, and also includes a scale. So we don't change the size here of the tree, but if you want to do it, you can just change here the scale, put in there 0.1, for example. Let's just do it now. 0.1, so it should be only 10% of the original size. Or let's put 0.15, because I have in my mind that this was the size of a berry bush. Sorry. So let's just save this here. So the next time, once we finished, we should see here not a big tree, but a berry bush, kind of berry bush. So that's also interesting. And then here we have some additional information with animation data for different entities, as it seems. Okay, then we have here worker, again some Lua files, the render information. What do we have here? Seems like color of the single elements of the world. Maybe we touch this also a little bit. And then there are some services. That's quite interesting as kind of a spoiler, because there are some data in here, which is, for example, if you go into the population part, so data, sorry, let me go back completely. So that's the services folder. There is population data, and then you have the 3 kingdoms here. If you open them, it defines here where or what kind of look they should have. The names are also included in here. So you find here, for example, Mare Burleyhands. That's quite nice. And you see also some other names for the other kingdoms. Probably very easy to change again and adjust it for your own requirements. Then we have events camera. The calendar looks interesting. Let's open it. Again, spoiler alarm here. So the names of the hours, they've changed since the last time we saw a code snippet including them. The month names defining when the day times are starting. And let's change this one also. Here ticks per second. So we see here a day-night cycle. It takes quite long to become night. Let's see what we can do there to improve the situation. Let's just reduce the numbers significantly. So you can define how long a minute, a second, an hour, a day is, and so on and so on. That's quite months per year. We could try to see if it changed something if we skip the months, but let's change just the day settings a little bit. Let's save this also. So we've done now 2 changes. We changed the size of the tree, and the day-night cycle should run faster. Let's see if this happens. And maybe let's see if this works just right now. So how do we do this? Let's go back into the mods folder. So we have here That's the adjusted files included in here. Let's, what you need is here a zip file program for sure. So let's create a zip file out of it. I have it here. Let's delete the old smod file. Let's close the program first. And let's simply rename this here into smod. Restart. And here we are. We have the day-night cycle moves much faster. We have a small berry bush, kind of mini tree. Probably you would have the same effect if you just load the small oak tree, but I just wanted to show how we can mod here a little bit and adjust the things. Okay, so that works fine. Did already a little bit. And now as next, let's change just the look of one of the workers. And as said, I think that this one here is actually so we need to go to the entities, to the humans, and I have the impression that he is here this male 2 and the head 1 and the body. So if we want to change that, let's take a look what male 3 looks like. That's here cubicle loaded with male 2 as he looks in the game. Let's take the body and the head 2 maybe. And here you go. So that's the version of the head of the male 3 at the moment. So nice haircut. So let's go and use him. We don't have access at the moment to the Lua file, so everything we are doing here will be most probably very different from how do you do it in the final game. But we should be able to help us. So let's just simply rename this once here. So I want the 3 to become my new 2, not the 1, the 2. I'm just replacing the graphics actually, right? And this will be my new 3. And to avoid any issues, let's rename it here also. And as I'm not able to adjust now the Lua files, what I'm forcing now the existing script is to take the male 2, which is my exchanged version, and it will grab the body part, and at the moment head 1, so if I want to have head 2 being used, then I need to probably rename that one also. Let's do it like that, and this will be then the 2. Okay, so if everything works well, then I should have now a little bit darker looking worker. Let's zip it again. Let's remove the smod as we did before. Rename. Restart. And if everything went well, we have now, yay, changed the look. How cool is this? Modding has officially started. Great. So I guess also in the game it will be either one way to change later on just the existing files and overwrite them, or probably the bit more elegant way would be to create your own ones and enlarge then the files we saw. So if we take a look again into the data folder where we changed the entities folder where we changed the look, you could just add here, it seems like here the model variants, so it says here type 1 of, so probably the script is taking this list here and randomly selects one of them. So if you just keep on adding different variants of the heads and add them here like head 3, head 4, head 5, then he will just take yours in addition and you don't have to overwrite. So that's quite nice. At the moment it seems to be hard-coded, so this code is not not taken as it seems. Okay, but that looks good. Now, if you remember, there was one animation which we have not seen so far. That's idle warm hands. And again, not being able to adjust the Lua code, let's just use here some tricks. So instead of, now let's take instead of breathe. Let me take it instead of breathe. So I could exchange it here, but idle sway. Let's see. I'm just looking for a more elegant way to do it, but yeah, maybe there is not. Need to look for it. So let's just change the names, maybe, huh? Or we said in the entities there might be. No. So probably there is some, again, some file which is calling our animations. We set in the effects, right? Yeah, the effects should it be. So if I call here, exactly. So let's change that a little bit. So let's take this name here. What is he calling? He's calling idle warm hands, and this is never called, right? So let's copy it. Breath is all the time called, so just to make it obvious, let's replace what breath is calling with the warm hands animation. Okay, let's save it. Let's go back to the mods file and let's see what we've done. So again, zipping it. There we go. And deleting it. Okay, close the game first. The game, it's a demo, but you see how addicted I am already. And there we go. If everything went well now, we don't have the... Yeah, look, great. So that's the warm hands animation, which is delivered with the graphical test, but is not activated or not used. So you have just a hidden animation, just unlocked it. Great, yay. Cool. So we changed the tree, we changed the look, we changed kind of an animation. Quite nice. Let's see if we can find some more things. But for the moment, I would just leave it there. What I think should be also possible is to add an own animation. And maybe I take a look into this and try to come up with another video explaining a little bit the outcome of that one. But yeah, hopefully this shows already a little bit how quite easy it is to mod the game. And again, this is just a graphical test actually, it's not the game. And you are already able to mod it quite easy. There are some things which will be more different in the final game. I'm pretty sure of that. So it should be even more straightforward. But yeah, hope it was a little bit of interesting for you. And as said, I will take a look if I can maybe finalize now also this Blender add-on I'm working on. And see if I can come up maybe with an adjusted animation, which I can just see live here. And also use as a proof of concept for the add-on, so that it is really possible to do this with Blender later on. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, December is coming, slowly but steadily, so looking forward to see more from Stonehearth. Take care, have a good time.